Hello and welcome to Maths with Jacob. This lesson will focus on addition and subtraction of surds. A special puzzle to warm up the brain cells is on the next slide. The answer will be given at the end. Enjoy. What is the meaning of the following? Good luck with it and see how you go. In algebra, we are allowed to add or subtract like terms. The same rule applies for surds. So in algebra, 3m plus 4m is 7m. For surds, 3 the square root of 2 plus 4 the square root of 2 is 7 the square root of 2. Now the very important note here, square root of 7 plus the square root of 5 is not equal to the square root of 12. You cannot add the 7 and the 5 together. The numbers under the square root signs have to be the same. Now here is the first example. 2 the square root of 3 plus 7 the square root of 3 minus 4 the square root of 3. That gives us 9 the square root of 3 minus 4 the square root of 3, which is 5 the square root of 3. So that's the answer. Second example, which is here. Now the square root of 27 is 3 the square root of 3. We saw that in earlier videos, how to simplify surds. Because very quickly, it's the square root of 9 by the square root of 3. Now the square root of 9 is 3. That's why it's 3 the square root of 3. So 3 plus 5 gives you 8 the square root of 3. Third example. Now these here, you've got 2, 8 and 32 under the square root sign. We can't add those together the way they are because the numbers are different. So look what we do. That stays as the square root of 2. This is 2 the square root of 2. That's 4 the square root of 2. So the answer is 7 the square root of 2. Fourth example, half the square root of 8 plus a quarter of the square root of 32. That's a half by 2 the square root of 2. And that's a quarter by 4 the square root of 2. Half of 2 is 1, so that's the square root of 2. Quarter of 4 is 1, so that's the square root of 2. Square root of 2 plus the square root of 2 is 2 the square root of 2. Example 5. The square root of m cubed plus the square root of m. Notice the terms inside the square root signs are not the same, but let's see what we can do. M cubed is the same as m squared times m. So that's the square root of m squared times the square root of m. The square root of m squared is m, so that's m the square root of m plus 1 the square root of m, which is m plus 1 the square root of m. Here, there's the square root of 2. Now the square root of 8 is 2 the square root of 2. There's the square root of 3. And the square root of 27 is 3 the square root of 3. Now we can only add those two together, and we can only add those two together. So that gives us 3 the square root of 3 plus, 3 the square root of 2. So that's 3 the square root of 2 plus 4 the square root of 3. Cannot add those two together because the 2 and the 3 are different. And the last example is this one here. Now the square root of 128 is 8 the square root of 2 minus 3 the square root of 2 plus 4 the square root of 2. 8 minus 3 is 5. So 5 the square root of 2 plus 9 the square plus 4 the square root of 2. So 5 the square root of 2 plus 4 the square root of 2 is 9 the square root of 2. Here's a quick quiz to help you. Please check through the video at any time. The answer to the puzzle, what is the meaning of the following? Ready for anything. I think you'd understand that, wouldn't you? Ready for anything. I like that one. Here are the answers to the quick quiz, and the video is at your disposal. If you found this video useful, please subscribe on the next slide. You will receive a notification when the next video is available. Please share with your friends. Hope to see you next lesson.